Welcome back to Bison Overtime. I'm Malik Mitchell.
I'm Mentzel.
And this will be our last episode of the semester. It's been good. You know, we've elevated from the graphics to the camera shots to highlights to everything. We really appreciate you guys tuning in every week.
It's been a long and crazy year, but don't you worry. After the summer, we will be back next year for another season 3 of Bison Overtime, starting again in September.
Yep. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. So we're going to kick the show off with baseball. So last Friday, they played SDSU in Brooklyn, South Dakota. They planned to have a 3-game series that weekend, but unfortunately, 2 of them were canceled due to the weather.
Weather's been a problem this whole season. It seems like for both baseball and softball, they just can't get around it, unfortunately.
Yep, so they only played on Friday. So last Friday, they won 8-3. Both teams battled through 4 scoreless innings until NDSU came alive in the 5th with 5 runs on 6 hits. It started with Drew Sackett hitting a 2 RBI double to make it 2-0. Peter Brookshaw followed that up with an RBI double of his own to increase the lead 3-0. Logan Williams and Caden Schwabe finished the big inning after they both connected on RBI singles to make it 5-0. In the 6th inning, Peter Brookshaw kept the momentum rolling with the RBI single to extend that lead 6-0. In the 6th inning, the Jackrabbits responded, though, with a run after an RBI double, but the Bison came back in the 8th inning with Logan Williams hitting a 2 RBI to extend the lead 8-1. And then finally, SDSU will come back on the final play in the 9th, scoring 2 runs, but that wasn't enough to top the Bison. Junior infielder Peter Brookshaw led the Bison with 3 hits, with 2 runs, with 2 RBIs. What were some of the other stats from that game?
NDSU total 14 hits as a team. Drew Sackett also went 3 of 5 with 3 RBIs and a run, while Logan Williams added a game-high 3 RBIs with 2 hits and a run. Caden Schwabe also had 2 hits and an RBI. And as for the pitching, Max Levin, he totaled 7 strikeouts over 7 innings with 1 walk, and it marked his 7th game this season with 4 or more strikeouts, in what has just been a great season for pitchers all around. Yep. And then Skylar Ridinger came in and finished the final 2 innings with 2 more strikeouts.
And then this Tuesday, they found some luck. They had a non-conference game against Mayville State at home, finally, with some good weather also.
Yeah, it was great to see that they finally got a game at home, and thankfully the weather cooperated. You know, This has to be by far the longest, at least in a while, that the baseball has gone without getting a home game.
Yeah. But, hey, they topped it off. They won 10-0 in 7 innings. Cold-blooded.
Mercy rule.
Yep. Started out with Drew Sackett cracking the game open with his 5th home run of the season in the 3rd inning. The 2 RBI shots put 2 points on the board. Logan Williams didn't reach an error following Peter Brookshaw to get him home. And then Caden Schwabe capped that big inning with an RBI bunt to send Williams home to extend the lead 4-0. In the 4th inning, they scored 2 more runs with Peter Brookshaw getting an RBI triple, and then Logan Williams followed that up with the RBI single. And then they would come alive again in the 7th inning, scoring 4 runs to end the game. Like I said, cold-blooded win. Peter Brookshaw also led this game with 2 hits and 2 runs, along with getting 2 steals. What were some other stats from this game?
Kalen Schwabe had 2 hits and an RBI, and then Brock Anderson, Logan Williams, and Drew Sackett each had a hit and 2 RBIs.
Yep, so NDSU is now 25-13 overall and 12-4 in the conference. They will travel to Coral Gables, Florida this weekend to play University of Miami, man. This is going to be a tough non-conference series.
You're telling me this is the 5th ranked team in the nation we're talking about here right now, the Miami Hurricanes. So yes, and we just came off of 2 pretty good wins. A big win against SDSU in a very dominating fashion, and then just an absolute blow-up of a game there against Mayville State. So this will be very interesting to see if we can continue to ride this high into Coral Gables and see if maybe pull off a major upset.
Right. I know they have upset some teams, especially last season with Kansas and whatnot. So do you think we can pull it off at the University of Miami, even though they're at the top of in the country, one of the top teams in the country? Do you think we could pull this off, at least sneaking one in?
I mean, it's possible to sneak one game in. I mean, every game is a new one, and there's a very good possibility, especially with how well the pitching has done this year for NDSU. If you can keep them down, I mean, granted, all you need is a couple of lucky hits, and you're pitching to do great, and you can win any game. So it could definitely be possible to sneak a game out of this series.
Hopefully they can sneak one in. They're going to have some good weather down in Florida. We're going to be still stuck here. We've been having good
weather. The weather's getting better up here.
It is getting better. Switching gears to softball, the team planned to have a 3-game series against UND and Grand Forks, but unfortunately to the weather, they came down for a doubleheader.
Mother Nature changing things again.
Yep. So on Saturday, they split the weekend on Sunday. So UND, like you said, mentioned last week that even though if you're at the bottom of the conference, when you play a conference rival, you're going to play your hardest. And that's what they did. They split the weekend.
Yep, game 1, especially in game 1, they just dominated in terms of hitting. NDSU had no answers for their hitting in the entire game.
Yep, so they lost the first game on Saturday, 11-10, and then they were back and forth the whole game. North Dakota came out with a sense of urgency, scoring 3 runs at the bottom of the first inning. The Bison would respond in the next inning with Skylar Pageant hitting her 2nd home run of the season with a grand slam to give them a 4-3 lead in the second inning. UND would answer with another run to tie it before Brianna Rood hit a 2-run home run in the bottom of the third inning to put NDSU back up 6-4. And then the Bison would score 2 more runs with Avery Ryan hitting a home run and Brianna Rood hitting a home run of her own. But UND would answer back, scoring 4 runs in the 5th inning to take the lead 9-8. The Bison would then retake the lead with 2 RBI double from Caver Maycutt, but UND came back. Like you said, they're going to play hard, and that's what they did in this last game. Came back and got the win.
It's definitely unfortunate for the Bison, though, especially because the hitting was excellent for NDSU in this game. 3 home runs, and one of them being a grand slam. I mean, normally those are games you expect to win, but unfortunately, UND, their hitting was on fire as well.
Yeah, Brianna Rood had the team high in this game with 3 hits and 3 runs with 3 RBIs. What were some of the other top stats from that game?
Avery Weissong had 2 hits, one of which being that home run, and then Skylar Padgett had the 1 hit, which was the grand slam over in left field, and then Cameron Maycutt had 1 hit with 2 RBIs.
And then NDSU came back in the second game, kind of clutch, 7-3. In game 2, Lainey Lau would dominate in this game, limiting the Fighting Hawks to just 1 hit until the 7th inning. So she did her thing. Lau would match her career high with 10 strikeouts in this game. However, NDSU's offense wouldn't get anything going until the 5th inning. Emily Berenga would hit a 2 RBI single to put the Bison in front. She would then score later in the inning with the RBI single to extend the lead 3-0. And then in the 6th inning, Avery Whiteside would hit her another home run, and then the Bison would add another run off an error. And then Whiteside would come back, draw the bases loaded, kind of that play in the 7th, and it went up 7-0. So they were dominating in this game, but UND was sneaking in 3 runs in the bottom of the 7th inning to hold off. The Bison held off UND in this game. Hey, way to bounce back, right? Even though they split the weekend in this second game, they rallied back. Some highlights in this game too.
Even after losing to UND in the first game, you got to remember, you got to be able to learn how to bounce back from tough losses, and that's just what they did.
Yep, Emily Berenga and Avery Ryan would combine for 4 hits and 2 runs with 2 RBIs in this game. What were some of the other stats in this game?
Des Cardenas had 2 hits and an RBI, and Molly Gates and Skylar Padgett had 1 hit each.
Yep, NDSU is now 26-20 overall and 8-7 in the conference. They will have a 3-game series this weekend against St. Thomas at home. The first pitch was today at 12, and we can do a live update right now. Oh, looks like they're not updated yet.
No,
this will be a game to get a win, because I know the Bison, could get 2 wins out of the series because we're only above St. Thomas by 1 in the conference. But this will be a game we can get 2 wins, and maybe St. Thomas can sneak in 1.
This is getting right down to the end of the season now, the final series of the regular season, and considering NDSU right now stands 4th in the conference standings, and the top 6 make it to the tournament. So it's pretty much a given now that NDSU is going to make the tournament. It's not sure whether there'll be a 4, 5, or 6 heading into the tournament. But the thing is, NDSU just needs a good series this weekend just to give themselves that momentum to head into the tournament.
Right, like you said, we're currently 4th in the conference. Only the top 6 teams make it in this tournament. I know we haven't made it for a couple years. We'll see what they can do. We got Avery Ryan pitching is phenomenal, like you stated. We should be good. We should be looking okay in this series.
Last year was just an unfortunate year where they missed the tournament. One of the very rare years where the softball team misses the tournament, but it seems like that'll be turned around this year. It still may not be the season that they were exactly wanting, still back and forth, 5th and 6th, but once the tournament starts, it's a clean slate. They can start fresh there and maybe dominate all the way to the championship.
Yep, make sure you guys tune in to their series today. When we come back, we're going to dive into men's golf and track and field. Stay tuned.
There are so many great things to experience at NDSU. It's hard to pick one, but my favorite is
the people. They make it such a warm place. The Bison aren't just across the country, they're across the globe.
It's the perfect distance from home. The faculty are our biggest cheerleaders. Hands-on research experience. The affordable tuition.
All the opportunities to stay active on campus.
Real-world learning experiences.
once I got on campus, it felt like home.
My name is Addie Stewart, and I graduated from NDSU in the Department of Communication in 2018. My degree was in strategic communication, and I'm the communications specialist for the city of West Fargo. That includes social media, press releases, breaking news, interviews, media relations, and more. I went into communication because I wanted to do something I was passionate about. There were so many opportunities. I knew I could work for nonprofits, government, small business, agency work. Professors in the department definitely impacted me a lot in my life, making sure that once I graduated college, I knew I could get a job here just because of the connections in the department and the great morale that was in Fargo. Future students should definitely come to NDSU because it's a degree like no other here.
The NDSU Bookstore has everything you need to show off your Bison pride. The bookstore can have you sporting green and gold wherever you go. It offers many different brands, sizes, styles, and selection so that you find exactly what you're looking for. Shop the NDSU Bookstore and show your spirit today.
Welcome back. We're going to get into men's golf and track and field, but first...
But before we do, we have a quick that live update about the softball game. It has just ended as we just came back on air. North Dakota State has won 2-0, so they take the first game of the series.
Yep, hopefully they only got 2 more to go, so hopefully they can take that series. I'm still thinking St. Thomas will sneak one in.
And both of those scores came in the 5th inning.
Yep. So switching to men's golf, right? So they traveled to Newton, Kansas for the Summer League tournament, and we projected they were going to do good, and they did. They finished 2nd out of 10 teams. The second place finish was the best for the Bison since winning the title in 2018. So they really did their thing.
Yeah, it was definitely an impressive tournament. The Bison held the lead early in the tournament throughout the first round of it, but unfortunately they kind of tapered off just a little bit, not too much, but it was just enough for Denver to catch them for the win. But still, a great overall tournament, 2nd place finish, and nothing to complain about there.
Yeah, let's get into the tournament a little bit. Nate Diesel became, electric overnight. He became the first North Dakota State's men golfer to claim the Summit League Individual Championship, finishing a championship record of 203. Now, Brock Winter and Nate Adams both finished tied for 12th place at +1. Ian Simonage finished tied for 22nd place at +5. Jack Johnson finished tied for 28th place overall at +9. This is how you end your season on a good note.
I mean, we're sitting here most of the season, we talked about golf. It's mostly been Brock Winter or Nate Adams. And all of a sudden, Nate Diesel, who we've mentioned a few times on this show, but not predominantly like this, he just comes out and has one of the greatest individual golf games in NDSU history. And this is just another testament to how good all the sports programs are throughout this entire university.
Right. He earned an automatic bid to play at the NCAA Stockton Regionals as an individual. He'll be competing May 15th at the Reserve at Sopranos Park in Stockton, California. Yeah, like you're right. He came out of nowhere. We didn't really hear much in the beginning, and then in the second half of the season, we kind of mentioned him just a little bit, and then he came out of nowhere with this.
And the thing is, it's not like he won it by a close margin either. He won it by 5 shots over the next person.
Yeah. How do you think he will do in the NCAA regionals, though?
It's going to be very interesting. Like, I don't know if this is just a flash in the pan, like if this was like the best it's going to get. I mean, I don't want to think that is. It could get better. You never know. So, I mean, it'll be very interesting to see if he can ride this huge wave of momentum all the way to that big tournament.
Oh no, it came out of nowhere. I'm thinking I think he's going to come out the woodworks maybe in this tournament. You never know. I don't know what to expect.
Maybe he's only a junior, so he's got one more year too after this. That's something else about this golf team that's so great. A lot of younger classmen, not a lot of seniors, so a lot of these guys will be coming back next year. A lot of juniors, a lot of sophomores, even some freshmen sprinkled in there. So this golf team will be very exciting to watch next year. Yep.
Then switching to track and field, both teams competed at the Drake Relays. Was getting to some stats. So Josh Knudsen took first in the 400-meter hurdles, running a personal best of 52.62. And he is now ranked 9th fastest in NDSU history. The 4x4 team brought home the University Division with Josh Knudsen, Adrian Harris, Jacob Roden, and Cody Roeder clocked 3 minutes and 9 seconds. They now ranked 8th fastest in NDSU history. And then Elijah Hammond Halen took 2nd in high jump, clearing 1.98 meters. And then Simon Kaiser placed 2nd in the 1500 meter, clocking 3 minutes and 51 seconds. Jacob Roden placed 3rd in the 800 meter, running 1 minute and 49 seconds. How did the women do?
Amy Phillips won the hammer toss in dramatic fashion, vaulting from 5th place to 1st on her final attempt where they throw just a little over 66 meters. She continues to be ranked among the top 10 in the NCAA this season. Senior Kelby Anderson won the 1500 meter in a career best time of 4 minutes and 23 seconds. She cut nearly 3 seconds off of her previous best in the event, and now she ranks 6th fastest in NDSU history. Amanda Anderson placed 2nd in the discus with a throw of 56.56 meters, and Alyssa Melvin took 2nd in the triple jump with a mark of 12.76 meters.
Yep, so both teams will be competing at the Summer League Championships in Tulsa, Oklahoma, starting May 12th. Then after that, they're going to take a crack at the NCAA West preliminary rounds. How do you think they're going to do? I know the men's are looking good. They've been performing every week. How do you think the women's are going to do?
Men's and women's, I think they're both going to do great.
Okay.
There's been a lot of firsts, a lot of new career bests, a lot of top 10s, top 5s in NDSU histories this season, and it's just been going off the charts. They've been rewriting the record books all season, so I don't see why they can't do a great job at the tournament.
And then side note, NDSU Athletics hosted their 7th annual, Green and Gold Gala Wednesday night, and we talked about track and field athletes not getting their just due on how great they are. People talk about either football or basketball, but in this, there was a lot of winners from track and field. Let's get into the winners, right? So wrestler DJ Parker won Male Rookie of the Year, and then distance runner Grace Link won Female of the Year, Rookie of the Year, and then distance runner Kelby Anderson won Female Athlete of the Year, and then thrower Trevor Otterdahl won Male Athlete of the Year. So 3 track and field people just swept the awards at this event.
Yeah, and I mean, we mentioned a lot of those names a lot. Anderson, Otterdahl, and Grace Link.
Yep.
We've mentioned their names plenty of times over and over again, so it's pretty obvious why they got these awards.
Yep. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to get into some national news. Stay tuned.
My name is Becky Parker, and I'm a news anchor at WDAY-TV. I graduated from NDSU in 2010 with a degree in journalism, broadcasting, and mass communication technologies, and then I had an emphasis on broadcasting. Principles of broadcast production and advanced broadcast production. Those were favorites because they were the most relevant for career experience. You're calling people for interviews, you're writing an article. It doesn't just feel like an assignment, it's like actually doing it. I was the news director for the first full semester of the Bison Information Network. The BIN advisor here was very much invested in me to actually have a career in broadcasting. He helped me get my internship and my first job. The people in NDSU's Department of Communication are really interested and helpful in getting students the connections that they need in order to get a job beyond school.
No kid deserves to go hungry, but try as they might, not every family can afford to put food on the table every day. That's why the Great Plains Food Bank and their partner agencies work every day to bring food to our hungry neighbors. Every dollar donated can provide 4 meals for those in need. Go to greatplainsfoodbank.org and donate today, so no kid in North Dakota ever has to go hungry.
And we're back. So now we're going to dive into NFL news. I know last episode we covered the first round of the draft. Now we're going to get into kind of the other rounds, starting with NDSU alum Christian Watson. Sadly, he was not taken in the first round, but again, I'm going to blame it on the Packers. It's the Packers' fault. Why they didn't take him? They waited. It's okay. Don't worry about it.
I'll get more into that in a minute.
Don't worry about it. But he will stay in the green and yellow, man. I know he'll love Aaron Rodgers. I want to see what that duo is really going to be like. I know he's a deep threat. Aaron Rodgers can sling it. So I'm excited to see what they'll do next season. Hopefully he can fill the void with Devontae Adams, even though that's a lot to prove. But he can take pressure, a guy coming out of FCS. He's proven he's a top receiver in the class. He proved it at the Reese's Bowl camp, the NFL Combine. Now he has to prove it in the NFL.
Aaron Rodgers is going to love him, trust me. Second-round receivers, the last 4 that we picked turned into very quality starters, one of them being Devontae Adams. So yep. I think this is a great move for the Packers. They traded up with Minnesota to go get him, and I personally, as a Packers fan, love the move. We need a wide receiver. Finally got one. And Christian Watson, the only knock that a lot of people have had on him is that his level of competition wasn't as good as some of the other receivers. But I don't know if that's translated. A guy by the name of Cooper Kupp, who just won Super Bowl MVP. Yep. What school did he come out of? Eastern Washington, another FCS school. So that doesn't mean anything, honestly, to me.
And in my opinion, I debunk that theory because he showed out in the Reese's Bowl camp. So, and that's that's quote unquote one of the top guys, right? And he performed well. NFL Combine, exceptional. I'm just waiting to see what he will do. A-Rod and C Dub, man. How do you think A-Rod, do you think it's going to be an instant connection or something they have to work through? Because I know Aaron Rodgers is kind of a guy that you have to create a relationship with, him and Pat Mahomes kind of. Got to create a relationship with so he can give you the ball more. Because if he doesn't trust you, we know, if A-Rod don't trust you, he's not throwing in that ball.
You know, in the era of Green Bay, in the Aaron Rodgers era of the Green Bay Packers, it's been a little trickier to be a rookie wide receiver. Even Devontae Adams, he had a terrible rookie season with Green Bay, and a lot of people, you know, he had drop problems. And the thing is, and a lot of people are expecting with Watson, which is kind of different from some of the other receivers that I mentioned, they're expecting him to be like the #1 receiver on day one, which is going to be very interesting to see. You know, if he can work himself up that quickly to be the #1 receiver on day one. I mean, right now, it seems like it's probably going to be either him or Allen Lazard being the #1 receiver. But, you know, if Watson can do it, I'd say let him.
I think he can step in. Like I said, he's good with pressure, man. A guy coming out of FCS is always, like you said, always the theories, the level of competition, the level of teams. Now it's really time to prove it. If he's coming in to be the top guy, it's a lot of pressure, but he's got to do it. And then moving on to offensive lineman, Cordell Volson was selected in the 4th round by the Bengals. Now, I like this. You know, they had him, and he was back home. They said the most North Dakota thing. They posted a video. I don't know. He was in a garage with some kind of a whole lot of country atmosphere is what I got from it, but it was funny. You know, he's a good run blocker, physical, a leader. I'm excited for him. The only thing I'm worried about him is the level of athletic ability. You know, NFL guys are quicker, guys are strong. You know, I want to know how he will play out in the NFL.
The thing that's a little different from offensive linemen to wide receivers, offensive linemen, they usually get a little bit more time to learn in the NFL. They get more of a learning curve than other positions do. They get a year or two to, you know, to get a break, to work their way up. But I like this pick. Personally, Cincinnati, they had terrible offensive line last year. Joe Burrow got sacked so many times last year. They were able to get Lyle Collins and Alex Kappa in free agency, and now they drafted Cordell Volson in the 4th round, so they're trying to build up the offensive line. I think this is great for Cordell as well, a great team to go to, considering they just went to the Super Bowl last year, so I like this for him.
He would definitely help that O-line. Now they got Lyle Collins. That would be a great addition. See what that O-line looks like. Help Joe Burrow from getting clobbered like he did last season. But switching gears to Tyrann Mathieu, all-pro safety. He just got picked up by the New Orleans Saints, 3 years, $33 million. How do you think the Chiefs' defense are going to hold out next season now that they lost a couple pieces?
Yeah, they've lost him, Daniel Sorensen, so they lost a few pieces in that secondary. But the thing was, their secondary really struggled last year. So maybe, and they drafted a lot of secondary players this year, at least 3 or 4. So the thing is, I think they're trying to wipe the slate clean on that defense and try to refresh it all with new young faces on that defense, which might be the best move to make for them.
I'm thinking they didn't have enough pieces to begin with. So now that they're losing guys, or I don't think they're going to do good at all. I think the Chiefs are going to struggle, and their conference have got better. You know that. So I don't know how Pat Mahomes is going to do it. He lost his #1 receiver. Now he's losing a good safety. I don't know how they're going to play out next season.
I think they'll still be okay. I personally, like I said, they picked a lot of good defensive players in the draft, including a guy like Leo Chenal from Wisconsin, a linebacker. I personally love that pick for them. But they still have great players on the offense. They got Travis Kelce, who's probably one of the best tight ends, receiving tight ends as well in the NFL. They got Juju Smith-Schuster in free agency, Marquez Valdes-Scantling. Now, I know they're not at the same caliber of Hill, but I'm sure Patrick Mahomes can still make that work with them.
Yeah, then I gotta switch gears to the Cowboys. We in the draft we made a mistake, and
it wasn't caught initially, but after looking back at it, I think a lot of teams made a mistake with this one.
That's true. We should have waited before we got an O-lineman. You know, it wasn't a secret. Jermaine Johnson dropped in the draft. Like, everybody was like, wow, like he really dropped that low, and the Jets got him. We
defensive end out of Florida State.
We had a chance to get him. You know, he dropped. We were before the Jets, and we didn't get him. We got an O-lineman from Tulsa. Now,
Tyler Smith.
We could have waited. I'm thinking Tyler Smith still would have been on the board, especially with his, you know, they keep talking about his penalties and stuff like that. So I don't think anybody would have taken him. I think we should have did what you did, essentially, even though I do talk smack, but you guys ultimately rated and still got what you wanted, Christian Watson. I think we could have waited with getting Tyler Smith, and we would have got Jermaine Johnson. I mean, we already got Micah Parsons on the other side. Those two dynamic, like, it would have been perfect for our defense.
Yeah, meanwhile, the team that did get him, though, the Jets, man, they had an impressive draft. They got him. Who else did they get? They get Stingley, or they get Sauce Gardner?
No, they got Sauce Gardner.
Sauce Gardner, yep. So either way, they're getting a lot of pieces for that defense. So I feel the New York Jets had one of the best drafts of all the teams in the NFL
they definitely boosted up the defense from a guy that we should have got. But I'm not even going to. I'm not even going to go over the top for the Cowboys.
Meanwhile, I'm going to spin this back a little bit. So we have a couple of other NDSU players who went undrafted as well in the draft. Braden Thomas and Josh Babbage, they both went undrafted onto teams. Braden Thomas went to the defending Super Bowl champion LA Rams, so not a bad team to go to as the defending champions. And then Josh Babbage went to the Carolina Panthers as the tight end there, so we'll see if he can fight his way through the roster there as well.
Yep, and then we got to, what we got to talk about, because this is going viral everywhere on social media, especially in the NFL platforms. Ryan Tannehill, I'm gonna read a quote. I don't want to misquote him, but he made some comments about Malik Willis in the press conference, right? And verbatim, this is what he said: "I don't think it's my job to mentor him, but if he learns from me along the way, then that's a great thing." Now, what do you think about this comment?
It's definitely very interesting, considering this is the first comment that he made about it that was in a major press conference. This is the first major press conference they had after the draft. And granted, I definitely didn't think the Titans were going to draft a quarterback this year, so it caught me off guard too, and I'm expecting it really caught him off guard. But yeah, it's definitely not quite what you want to say coming out of the draft, because that's going to create an awkward situation between you and Malik Willis. Granted, though, at this rate, and when you get to the NFL, if you're someone like Malik Willis, you really shouldn't care too much about that kind of thing. You're still going to be teammates no matter what, and either way, you're going to have to battle him one way or another, whether he mentors you or not. So
my thing is, he's right and he's wrong, right? Like you said, you don't want to say that out loud, but he's right though. I mean, it's a job. The NFL is a business. He's going now. He has to go against a guy that was talked a lot in the media as one of the top quarterbacks, even though he fell.
Well, everybody thought he was going to be like a top 10 pick.
Exactly. So now he's still thinking about that, and he's got to battle for the spot. Like he said, we watch film the same, we do the same drills. Hey, it's a job. So I don't blame him for saying that. In a sense, he's wrong, because at the end of the day, you guys are going to be teammates. If he goes down, hey, I'm not saying if you don't mentor him, the Titans are going to be negatively affected, right? But let's just say he goes down, and all the things he's taught him along the way makes the team successful. That'll be off your wrongdoing. There's nothing wrong with mentoring a young guy, even though later he's going to replace you.
And you also have to know the media is going to strike this in a wrong direction as well, unfortunately. Because, I mean, as a Packers fan, I've seen this before. When Aaron Rodgers got drafted back in 2005, he fell down the draft boards, wasn't expecting to go that far. We picked him up, and Brett Favre was not happy about him coming there. And you could definitely tell that he definitely didn't want to battle with the quarterback. He didn't want to mentor him either. But eventually, they're still teammates. You got to get through it. And the media went after them, though, saying that they hated each other and everything. Although I don't think it was as bad as what everybody said it was.
I'm just thinking, mentoring any young guy on your team is beneficial to the team regardless. That's what I'm thinking. But I do understand what he's saying. It's not my job to mentor him for a guy that's ultimately wants to take my job out of college. He's pumped. He's ready to play. In a sense, he's not wrong.
Now, the thing is, too, I've heard other former players talk about what Tannehill said in a negative way, who played different positions. Now, the thing is, it's a little different, too, with quarterback, because there's only one starting quarterback.
Right.
Whereas if you're in a different position,
receiver,
like wide receiver, linebacker, something like that,
Always
there's
rotating.
multiple positions. But nope, not with quarterback. There's one commander of the field.
How do you think it's going to play out? Do you think it's going to create bad blood? I know Malik Willis didn't take it lightly. I know he's not going to ignore it. So how do you think that's going to go down? Do you think the team chemistry is going to go down? Because his teammates can look at him selfishly. As a selfish guy, you don't want to help your own teammate that's coming in. Who says he's going to start over you this season? No one has said that yet. So how do you think that's going to play out with their team chemistry?
It's definitely going to be interesting to see what happens. I mean, personally, we'll never know what happens behind the walls there in the locker room. And we don't know if this is going to affect things or not, truly. I mean, maybe they won't care. Maybe they will care. And maybe they won't want him to be the starting quarterback or something, and then they won't play as hard. We'll never know that for sure. It's going to be very interesting to see through this offseason how the Titans take the situation, and, maybe, in a few years, what happens? Does Tannehill stay? Does Malik get traded, or does Malik take over pretty quickly?
I mean, also, we haven't touched on the ending, how he ended the season last season. It wasn't really good, so he's still having that in the back of his head. That's probably why it stings a little when the guy asked him that question.
No, and he said he was in a dark place this offseason. He had to go to therapy multiple times because all he could think about was the last two seasons, how they got eliminated in their first home game in the playoffs. So he's definitely, and, I feel bad, too, because, it's definitely not easy being a quarterback in the NFL and dealing with that kind of stuff. And now, all of a sudden, you got this new guy coming in who might be taking your job soon. It's got to be tough.
Right. I don't understand how people can look at him, like, after that bad ending, like you said, he had to go to therapy and all that. He's in a dark place. Now he's trying to come alive again, and you're now throwing this in their face. Oh, Mitchell, this young guy that's soon going to replace you, if not this season, because how you ended the season last season. I don't think any player is going to be, yeah, okay, I'll mentor him and replace me. I don't think any player will do that.
Considering he's been in Malik's position before, just a few years ago when he came to the Titans, Marcus Mariota was the starting quarterback, and then all of a sudden he had to come in because Mariota wasn't doing so well. So he's been there before. He knows.
We'll see what happens, but thank you for tuning in to another episode of Bison Overtime. Like we said, this is our last episode of the semester. It's been a good one. We will catch you guys next fall. Stay tuned.